Hello, I'm a curious programmer, Xiaoshen Tengkong. In the last video, we analyzed the principles of two sensitivity settings through experiments, but we haven't done a comprehensive analysis yet. This video will comprehensively explain PUBG sensitivity settings. To accommodate those who are not good at math,
we will not discuss the experimental principles.
We'll go straight to the conclusion. Those interested in the experimental principles can watch the previous videos. Let's start with the system settings. Quite a few sensitivity tutorials have asked people to tweak their system settings, especially this option. The theory is that this affects the distance the mouse pointer travels due to acceleration, which in turn affects the feel of the game. Based on experience, the conclusion is that it's not necessary. I drew a logical diagram highlighting common misconceptions. Mouse movements generate pulse signals that the signals are sent to the computer and converted into the intended pixel values. Actually, the mouse macro script that I wrote did embed into this model. These values are then scaled by the system to determine the actual moving pixel values. Many applications like desktops, browsers, etc. use these scaled pixel values, so adjusting the system settings does affect the experience of using these programs. But FPS games like PUBG don't use system-scaled data. Instead, it directly acquires the pixel data after parsing the mouse pulse signal. The data is then processed by the in-game sensitivity system to convert it into rotation angles. So, therefore, no matter how you adjust the system mouse pointer settings, none of it affects the in-game effects. And as mentioned in the last video, the game directly converts mouse movements into rotation angles, but not length. So screen resolution is not a factor. You only need to focus on the mouse DPI and in-game sensitivity settings. After experiments, I've summarized the sensitivity settings in this chart. The green boxes are all affected scenarios. Each scenario will be affected by 3 layers: yellow, light blue, as well as the pink. Each layer affects the green boxes multiplicatively. As you can see, the two settings, mouse DPI and vertical sensitivity enhancement, are settings that affect all scenes and should be adjusted carefully. Let's take the scenarios of using iron sights, holographic sight, and red dot sight as examples to see how the impact is transmitted. Assuming the initial DPI is set to 800, aiming mode sensitivity equal to 50, and vertical sensitivity enhancement is set to 1, the effects for iron sights, holographic sight, and red dot sight works like this. Then, when the DPI is changed from 800 to 1600, the first factor doubles, resulting in this outcome. When the vertical sensitivity enhancement is set from 1 to 2, the third factor doubles. The final result becomes further like this. At this point, if you set the aiming mode sensitivity from 50 to 35, the second factor is multiplied by 0.5, and the final result looks like this. You can see that, comparing with the initial status, the red dot effect is scaled horizontally by 0.5, which equals 1, so it remains unchanged. Scaled vertically by 2, multiply 0.5, multiply 2, which equals 2 times. As for why setting the aiming mode sensitivity from 50 to 35 is equivalent to scaling by 0.5 times, check out the previous video. All in-game options with settings ranging from 0 to 100, which is the blue part of the logic diagram, fits this formula. Since this formula is not easy to calculate, I've worked it out in advance. I have pre-calculated and filled in the scaling factors for each setting value in the table. You can directly refer to the table. So far, we have completed the basic principles of sensitivity. Come back to this chart and give you a set of progression data. I used regular sensitivity in third-person mode as the baseline, and marked the corresponding scaling factors for other sensitivities. Explain. When rotating a fixed angle, the distance you need to move the mouse when aiming sights is 1.1428 times that of regular aiming or hip fire. So if you want the same sensitivity feel when aiming down sights as when shooting from the hip, you need to adjust the scaling factor for aiming sensitivity to 1.1428 times the scaling factor. Regarding the use of these numbers, to give a more generalized example, Tom wants to press the 2x scope with the same operating feel as he presses the red dot sight. Then he needs to adjust the scaling factor of the 2x scope to the red dot of 1.1428 equals 1.75 times. Assuming Tom's aiming mode sensitivity is set to 39 at this point, according to the table, 39 corresponds to a multiplier of 0.60026, and 1.75 times 0.6026 equals 1.05. According to the table, a setting of 51 corresponds to a zoom magnification of about 1.05. So Tom just needs to set the 2x scope sensitivity to 51. Here is the first-person data chart. The only difference between first-person and third-person modes is the regular sensitivity and aiming sensitivity settings. As for the graphs and tables needed, I'll post them on my Bilibili homepage for easy access. Easy access for all. I've already adjusted my settings to my preference. What about you? Follow me. See you in the next video.